Okay. So, my name is Donovan Smith. I'm just going to read. So, every year in January, we're forced to hear people attempt to assassinate the character of Dr. King's message without the context of quotes about dreams and togetherness. Rarely do we find ourselves at the root of this message, the three evils of society: racism, poverty, and militarism. Without the eradication of these three, peace will cease to exist. Commentary from the mayor yesterday using a statement by Black community members echoed all too similarly to the media cycles of King Day. Somehow the mayor's take on words by Black community members that are rarely quote-unquote community engaged missed the mark. Our militaristic police force was the focal point of the statement and the movement. Attempts to deploy the same force over and over again continue to chip away at the dream. Last year it was said by the mayor that he wanted to see an end to qualified immunity, which essentially offers impunity to government employees who violate a person's institutional rights, including police officers. We can only hope that he holds to acting as an advocate for such policy changes instead of diverting from the demands that kept Portland Street so charged when it was so clearly stated by a historic number of Portlanders to defund PvP, and instead championing policies that actively refund structures that have proved to fail in the Bureau and put Black lives at risk. Racism, poverty, and militarism. The legacy continues.
Hi, my name is Matt Smith. I'm an editor at the We Out Here magazine. It's hard for me to talk about this without being upset. The reason I'm upset is not because I'm surprised, but because exactly what I expected to happen happened. There are Black people in this city who are struggling to survive, with or without anything else that's going on here. Without the pandemic, before any of this, we have been struggling to survive. My parents held conferences like this in their youth. This is not a new problem. The letter that was put out this week and signed by multiple members of the Black community, over 50 members of the Black community, is being used as we expected. Our words are being twisted, are being added to be described as Black Lives Matter leaders denouncing anarchy or anarchists is garbage. If you read that letter, the word Black was used over 10 times. Never was the phrase Black Lives Matter used. Every Black person is not a Black Lives Matter protester. Every Black person does not agree with Black Lives Matter. Every white person is not an anarchist. Every white protester is not an anarchist. This was not a letter to separate us by race, as is stated in the letter. The letter was to say, quite simply, that police cannot be reformed. So we have to tear the system down. And in doing that, we do not want to harm the people who are already hurt by the existing system. The point is to uplift our community while tearing down the system that oppresses us. If that's not clear to everyone, I hope it is now. Thank you.
So, can everybody hear me? All right, you can hear me better now. I'm Minister Kennedy Bay, member of the North Side of America. I've had the opportunity to be in Portland for quite some time, working and meeting with the people. And what I see is a lot of misunderstandings and inability to be able to evolve, unwillingness to be able to transform one's mind and their thinking. and it comes from a position of not only narcissism, but it's also dealing with ego. Desensitized, not wanting to feel what people are going through, wanting to separate yourself from people's struggles, and putting on a show. A lot of fakeism, a lot of manipulation with people's struggle. It's a sad state of affairs, being a young man in this society, in this world, and seeing individuals with positions of power, not realizing that it's an illusion. It's the result of force. And so the individuals that have been at the bottom of the barrel, for the longest time in this society have constantly and perpetually, got to the root of where they came from and had pride and wanted to galvanize the individuals to be able to cultivate change in their minds and in the community. However, there's always been opposing forces that don't want that to happen. And they've been trying to separate individuals' ideologies and their perceptions about things. And quite frankly, those who don't understand the power of God are going to be in a state of shock, if you will, because the prophecy is coming without a doubt or contradiction. I am my ancestor today without a doubt or contradiction, and they are present amongst us, whether you want to accept it or not. And that being said, don't take these words lightly. It's not a threat. It's just a matter of fact of speaking the truth in full manifestation on the plane of things made manifest, which we call earth. There's going to be a change. If it doesn't happen now, it will happen soon. Again, that's not a threat. It's simply speaking the truth from my Godhead in order for all the world to hear and know that the descendants of the inhabitants of Africa, there's still much wisdom to be learned. And you shall get it. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Peace and divine love.
My name is Amber Boydston. I'm with Spirit of Justice, and I'll be brief. We don't have an ASL interpreter here, and I don't want to perpetuate systems of white supremacy. I do want to speak directly to you, Tevis, as you have not created space for Black femmes to speak directly to you. And I do want to make sure you know that I am wearing all black. I often wear all black. I will continue to wear all black. Black is a sacred color. Black is also often a color that is affordable in many stores, I want to note. But I'm here to say to you, Tevis, that I'm an abolitionist. And I'm inviting all of you across this great world to be abolitionists as well. And when we are abolitionists, we talk about putting our strength and our energy and our focus and our light and our power in the community, because the community is who shows up every single day for one another. And so when I read your response, Tevis, what I read was you trying to pull us apart. What I read was you trying to create systems of oppression and strengthen the level of fascism that you've already enlightened in this community. And I'm here to say, I stand with my Black, brown, and indigenous community members. I stand with my anti-racist white community members. And it is now more than ever that we come together as abolitionists. If you don't know what that word means, I implore you to look it up. And I implore you to start doing the work within your own self to kill the cop in your mind. We do not need you, Tevis. We do not want you, Tevis. And I'm here as one Black femme to say that we will march forward towards Black liberation, towards indigenous sovereignty together, no matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you say. We are in this together. All power to the people. Black Lives
All
Matter
power to the people.
every single day. Land back. Indigenous sovereignty.
sir.
My name is Kevin Wright. I've been a part of this community since I was in the 6th grade. The black community has suffered in Portland and Oregon by the hands of the police and this government. We are told to be patient. We are told to wait. That our liberation, that the system will fix itself. This week we saw an example of the system, once again, taking from us to make them look better. They took our words to try to disunify us from our brothers in protest. They tried to make us look like we are against each other. We might not all agree on the ways that we protest, that we fight, but we know that we must fight. Ted Wheeler took our words. This isn't the first time he has done so. He recently, on a Zoom call with different male black community members, took our words to reinforce his rhetoric of empowering the police to refund them, saying that it will take time, it will take training, and it will take money. The one thing that was a consensus amongst this call was that resources need to be reallocated to the community, to other programs that will help us. And the reason that we need help is because we have been disenfranchised and abused, truly abused, what that word really means by this system. So Ted Wheeler, before you get on another podium, on another Zoom call, or send out another message to your constituents, realize that you are stealing our words, our narrative, to suit your political aspirations. This is not right. This is something that gets perpetuated by white supremacists. And I'm sorry, Ted, if it's hard to hear, but what you're doing are the actions of a white supremacist. So with this, I say to Antifa, to anarchists, to the black community at large, we must stand together. We must come together. We must unify. If you do not believe in leaders, that is fine. Choose your representatives. Choose the people that you can believe in to come forward, to stand together with us so we can narrate our own story, that it will not be used as propaganda against us to make us fight against us. We stand here at City Hall, where perpetually our representatives disenfranchise us. We choose this place to give historical context to our struggle. We do not mean to sit up here and divide anyone within the larger Oregon community. What we hope to do is to bring us together. And we will not let a mayor take on a narrative that is untrue to sit up here and divide us. We stand together. Black power, power to the people. Thank you.
Power to the people.
I agree with everything
Steve has said, but I do want to add that my name was also on that statement. And you tried to create a division between anarchy and being black and being indigenous. I am an Afro-Indigenous anarchist. I am of these lands. I participate wholeheartedly in mutual aid. And yes, I do attend direct actions. Now my question is, if I had worn this, since now there's a ban on being black and wearing black, if I had worn this white as a protester, would that have saved my child? Would you have stopped and not unleashed those gases that killed my baby while I was out there protesting? Please be aware of the fuck you're saying.
My name's Jedi. My name is also on that letter, Ted Wheeler. Our community is really sick of how you constantly pervert our message and the goals that we are trying to accomplish. Ted Wheeler, first of all, solidarity with all protesters, each and every single protester that hits the ground, solidarity with all of them, solidarity with all anarchists, solidarity with all anti-fascist people. What you are trying to do is continue the perversion of our messages and our goals. What you are doing is fundamentally fascist. You are trying to get us to surveil each other, snitch on each other, and imprison each other. We do not stand for that. This is why we're having this meeting today. The way that the Oregon Live twisted our words and our open letter to communicate that we support PPB. Are you serious, Ted Wheeler? This is what you're doing, and this is why we're standing here today. Because all of us denounce you, all of us denounce PPB, all of us denounce white supremacy and fascism, which is what you constantly propel and proliferate in our community. We want to defund the police. We understand you are entitled to your opinion, but your opinion is not more important than the community's. And the community is saying, defund the fucking police. Give that money back to us because we know what to do with it. We know how to solve our community issues. We have the resources, we have the knowledge, we have the wisdom. But you are withholding the resources. You are perpetually exhibiting white supremacy and it is continuously damaging our communities. What I want you to start addressing, Ted Wheeler, is address why people are breaking windows. Address why people are spray painting all over the city. Address the cause. Stop focusing on the results. Stop looking at the broken windows. Start looking at the broken system and fix that. We are out here. The community is constantly uprising because we are not being heard, Ted Wheeler. We all know the quote, the riot is the language of the unheard. People are continuously smashing shit and spraying shit because we are not being heard. And historically, property damage, it lights the fire under the asses of policymakers. It actually works. Riots work. Protesting works. So the community is going to stay out here and keep breaking windows and keep spray painting and keep calling you a fascist and keep denouncing you and keep trying to recall you because we don't want any of this shit. We want our power back. We want to reclaim it all back. And we want you to stop twisting our words. Stop perverting our goals and our messages. It is very clear what we're saying in that open letter. But the way that you are perverting it is twisting it in the minds of the liberals. It's twisting it in the minds of the people who don't really understand why we're out here. You are only perpetuating the fascist state that is currently growing. And we want you to stop. Focus on why. Next time you have a fucking press conference, start speaking on why are the protesters doing this? Why? Ask yourself, why? Stop focusing on the broken windows. Focus on fixing the broken system, and maybe people might calm down. Black Lives Matter. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
My name is Rage. Fuck you, Ted Wheeler. You're the worst kind of predator. You're a colonizer and white supremacist. You're a misogynist, a misogynoir. You benefit from this system, which is why you ignore us, which is why you refuse to tear it down, which is why you won't fucking march with us. I know you fucking heard me when I said to burn every precinct to the ground, and I fucking meant it. What you're not gonna do is erase me. I am a black anarchist. And I wear black and I will continue to wear black. What you're not gonna do, Ted Wheeler, is use our fucking words to put more black and brown bodies in handcuffs. What you're not gonna do, Ted Wheeler, is continue to perpetuate a system of institutionalized slavery. That's what you're not gonna do. We've had enough. We're done with you, Ted Wheeler. We've been calling for you to be recalled, and we've tried to do things the right fucking way, but it doesn't work. You don't listen. You protect property. You protect the interests of rich white men, and you continue to subjugate us. No more. Burn every precinct to the ground. You killed enough of us. You killed enough of us.
Man, I just want to say I'll say to that right there. That was beautiful. Whew. Oh man, the twisting of our words, it goes back a long, long ways. I'm like Mac, I'm not surprised. You know, when we wrote that letter, we was like, I wonder what they'll do with it. You know, how will they twist it? And it's funny because as black people, we nationalize black people. We can't seem to hold anybody accountable for nothing. It's crazy. We can't speak to our own people within our revolution, or else the people outside of it are going to twist our words. When we speak to the people outside of it, the people inside of our revolution will twist our words as well as them twisting our words. So what do? When do we get to speak and be heard? This whole thing talking about Black Lives Matter, God damn, started off as a sarcastic statement. It was sarcastic. We matter. The idea that some people have taken this on to really act like it's in question that we fucking exist. That's a trick. That's a trick. So here we are being manipulated. They're gonna try to split us within. They're gonna try to split it that way, split it this way, twist it that way, twist it this way. At the end of the day, this is the people's revolution. And if you want to be led right,
You'll be led by the people that have the most in-depth experience of this oppressive shit. The tribe called Black. We are talking about so many different levels here. When we talk about, if we're talking about hate towards Mexicans, it comes from the strategic elimination of their Black Olmec bloodline. If we're talking about Asian hate, it came from the systemic elimination of nearly, I think, 40 million Chinese murdered in the Holocaust. Don't nobody talk about that. For their blackness. For their blackness. You understand? This is the plight of humanity. That's why it's sarcastic. Black Lives Matter. It's supposed to be fucking sarcastic. Duh, they matter. They built this whole motherfucking world. You wouldn't be here, none of you. People that call yourself white. So-called white people. Look into your lineage. Look into your lineage. They taught you and they trained you. We're trying to help you. But who's trying to help us? You just want popularity. You just want to make sure you don't go down in history as one of the bad guys. Do something right for a change. Listen to the real people that know. Stop listening to all this bullshit. It's only 5 companies that run the media. 5! They're controlling what we see on the left and controlling what we see on the right. This is controlled opposition. Stop it. We need our own media systems. We need our own tribal governments. These are the things we need. Help us do that. Woo!
My name is Jerry Floyd. I also signed that petition. I also signed that letter. No more property over people, said Wheeler. No more. We do not need any of your systems of government. We do not need your law enforcement. They're not even law enforcement. We don't need your military in our streets. We are building and creating a system of mutual aid to where each individual block will have resources from our community. So we do not need you. We do not need any of your systems of government. We do not need any of your systems of oppression. This country was built and founded on hatred and murder and violence towards Black and brown people. 400 years of murders. There was a 100-year period in this country's history where every other day hung from a tree. Do the research. For 100 years, every other day in this country, a Black body swung from a tree. Your so-called Declaration of Independence is not valid. All people are created equal. Not all men, all people. Whatever your affiliation is, trans, whatever. There will be equality in the streets of Portland because the community of Portland through this last year, and we are still figuring it out, but we are coming together. There is mutual aid being done. There are people who are willing to sacrifice and give their lives for the care for our children and for their future. The 13th Amendment has to go completely. There are more people right now enslaved than when we were first brought over here in the penal systems of this country.
Talk about it.
We are still born into slavery in this country. No more. I will not be pulling over for your fucking lights or whatever. We get murdered when we don't pull over. We get murdered when we do. I am no longer going to accept any of your rules and laws. No longer, no more. We are done with that. These committees, these oversights, all this, that's just bullshit. That's why reform does not work. It all has to go. And brick by brick, we will rebuild it. Street by street, we will take our streets back. And for our indigenous brothers and sisters, all these monuments, Mount Vernon, Madison, Jefferson, all these institutes of slavery, all that land needs to go back to the indigenous people. Thousands of slaves lost their lives building the Capitol, Washington, D.C. Died. There's not one word, one name, no mention of any of the people who built the fucking Capitol, the White House. Imagine being a slave working at the White House, building a White House. No more. We denounce this government 100%. And when you send your military to us, they better be locked and ready, because we are. No more.
That's right.
Is that it? That it? Cool.
I do want to give one last thing that I want to say. I want to remind everybody, the protesters, everybody that does get chosen for jury duty, remember we have another tool to use, jury nullification. So even if you find that it falls within the confines of the law, because you do not believe that a law should exist itself, you can find them not guilty. Remember that. Not guilty. Jury nullification.
There you go.
Amber here again. I do want to remind all of you out there that we are not a monolith, and we are missing a lot of voices here for lots of reasons, okay? And so it is important, and as Black people, we are uniting together, and you have heard a few of the Black people's voices.
Close out.
That's it. Thank you for being out here. That's it. I don't got more to say.